It's that time again. Welcome to the Steel City Roundtable, your home for real stories from real people, where everyone matters and all stories deserve to be told. Enjoy the show. Before we get down to the meat and potatoes of the show, we have to go over our legal disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on the Steel City Roundtable are for entertainment and informational purposes only. We are not professionals or affiliated with any professional organizations. If you are in crisis, dial 911 immediately and seek professional help. And here are your hosts. Hey guys, welcome to the Steel City Roundtable. My name is Mark Nebum and I'm one of your hosts. Once again, thanks for joining us and spending some time with us on a Sunday afternoon. To my left, of course, is my lovely host, Kelly's.
Hi guys, Kelly Gibson here.
And we have a very special guest today, a gentleman that I met about 6-7 years ago. Met him at the gym because I used to be a meathead. And we just got to bullshitting, and he's gone through some things in his life in the recent past that are just amazing. And I thought that he would be a great addition to come on to the show today. So I would like to introduce to you Mr. Keith Fetsko.
Hey guys, how are you? Thanks for having me. It's good to be here. It's good to meet you, Kel, and good to always be with Mark. So yeah, we met a couple years ago, and we finally hooked up again in another gym, where we do our thing. And Mark got to asking me about, podcast, kind of went through his past experiences over the past couple months, and I just thought this would be a tremendous idea to give a little bit back and pay a little bit forward. That's kind of where my mentality is at lately. I enjoy doing those kind of things, and anything that I can say or do or shed light on for anybody who's gone through what I've gone through, then, that's what it's all about. So I just want to make sure I do that, and at the end of the day, support anybody who may need it. I found that to be very valuable and help me on a daily basis just to, again, pay it forward and help folks and be supportive and just be another arm to rest on.
Sure.
Awesome. So I'm going to put you on the spot right out of the gate.
Sure.
You've had a really rough couple years. I'm not going to get into it. And if we get into it, we get into it. If we don't,
Sure.
we don't. But I want to say you look great.
Thank you.
Like
Appreciate
you look,
that.
you look very, very healthy.
Thank you.
And
It means a lot.
let me ask you this: you've watched an episode or two of the podcast.
Absolutely.
You know what we're about, right?
Absolutely.
You know that we're all about helping.
Yeah.
I guess I should have started asking that like after the first episode. Have you
Yeah.
watched the podcast?
Have you
Otherwise, you have
watched
no
the
clue what's
podcast?
going on.
I think the only one I haven't watched was the one you talked about that hasn't come out yet.
Yes, we have like 3 episodes coming out. I'm just lazy and I can't get them edited.
He's not lazy, he's just really busy.
Right.
Let's be realistic.
So, the reason why I brought you on here is because we always have good conversations at
Yeah.
the gym. People at the gym are always bullshitting about all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
And you have a different perspective
Yeah.
than I do. Me being former law enforcement, Kelly being Kelly, and
I'm in a
you
legal
coming from just, a working background
Right.
and, family man and all those
Yeah.
types of things.
Yep.
What do you want to talk about today? I was thinking we could talk about healthcare.
Yeah,
The good and bad.
Yeah, I think it's a good topic and it's valuable. I think I'd be able to shed some light on it based on my experiences. But first and foremost, I just want to shout out to today is World AML Awareness Day, and I think that's valuable to put out there because any visibility you can give to that day and take a minute and pause and think about or give a prayer to those folks who've traveled that road, I think is valuable. So I just wanted to make sure I got that shout out today.
What is AML?
AML is acute myeloid leukemia.
Okay.
So it's a blood cancer.
Okay.
So it affects your blood and all the inner workings and all the chemistry that's in your blood, and all the bone marrows and the stem cells you have, everything that happens within you and Mark right now, and all the chemistry that happens within your body is somehow affected and driven through all your blood. So whenever that gets affected, certain things take place, certain things get out of whack, and certain things start to, create more than what your body needs.
Okay.
So automatically your body has an instant fight and flight from that.
Sure.
So that's kind of what that's all about. And, I don't want to get too much into the weeds in terms of, exactly what it is and what it does because I don't really find anybody would be really that interested in it. But it is truly, like I said, it's a blood cancer, it's a blood disorder.
Okay.
That is a continual look at, work at, day to day, month to month, year to year. It'll be with me some form or some fashion for the rest of my life.
Okay.
So this is the strain of cancer that you're currently in remission from, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and this is your second time.
That is correct. Yeah, I was initially diagnosed in 2017. And, then I went into the hospital, and we can, get.
Listen, go as deep as you
Yeah.
want, because anything you put out there
yeah.
could help somebody else make a decision on treatment or help them, guide them into dealing with what you dealt with.
Yeah. Yeah. Interestingly enough, that would be good to start there, because if someone's out there and kind of experiences the same symptoms I had, that might help them. To that point, even when I was initially not diagnosed and when I was talking to my doctors, it really wasn't clear what that was. So back in 2017, and I was thinking about this morning or today before I came down, I'm like, how did that really transition? Back in 2017, I remember distinctly how this started to progress in me. And I was at LA, and
Okay.
now Mark was still at LA at that time.
That was when I was still a flaming drunk.
That's correct.
Yes.
That's correct. I was on the treadmill, and I was just going through my basic treadmill routine.
Sure.
And I got done, and I stepped off, and unlike myself, I was tired. I was kind of grasping for a breath. I'm like, that's weird. It's never happened before, so I really didn't pay it much mind. I actually sat down, and kind of like I am now, and I'm kind of catching my breath. I'm like, that's weird. Never gave it a thought. Got up, went home. A couple weeks rolled by. Went back into the gym, and I was doing a leg day that day, and I was doing squats. And I can remember on my pressing up out of my squat, I was having a hard time catching my breath, and I would get dizzy. I'm like, man, that's really, really weird. Didn't give it any thought, but again, I was dizzy.
No, I mean, sometimes we get lightheaded because we don't
Correct.
breathe,
Correct. But all those things, I was breathing, I was kind of going through, my mechanics of that, and I'm like, I was just dizzy, and it didn't make any sense to me. So left, sat down, caught my breath, went through the rest of my workout, went home, and then after that, weeks progressed to where I unfortunately had a headache that just would never go away.
Oh, wow.
And if I would tell you that a headache of magnitude 10 on an earthquake scale, that would probably be generous. I mean, this thing was every day, 24 hours a day, like someone was smacking me in the head with a bat.
Ugh.
So that was, alarming in terms of, how that came about. And I thought at the same time I was going through something with my eyes. I wasn't sure if I needed to have, different glasses, a different strength. But the pain was so bad, it was just pulsating. It was going from my eyes back into my head. And so I went to, a couple optometrists and, thought it was my eyes, had those checked out, and thought that maybe would be the solve. But, every glass I tried, every different thing I did, it wasn't solving it. The headache was just still there,
And it
still there,
wouldn't be
still there.
alleviated by ibuprofen,
No.
nothing. Nothing would touch it.
There was nothing that I could do to make it go away.
Wow.
And, I would start, I would call my wife, I would call my mom, I would just kind of, see what people think about what's going on. And, we all didn't know, so we just thought maybe it was a cold, a rest thing, something that I may have done. Maybe it was a, pinched nerve or something like that. But that wasn't the case. It just wasn't the case, and it just wouldn't go away. And I remember that the day that I knew something was wrong with me, I went out to North Park, because during this time, Kellen and Mark, during this time, my sleep habits were completely different. I mean, I literally would come home from work and I would go to bed.
Oh, wow.
I would crawl up in the fetal position, I would just sleep. And that's all I could do. I would sleep. I would wake up, I'd go to work. I would be unfunctional. But the whole time I'm just tired. And I'll get to the point as this thing grew. But I remember going to the park and literally just trying to, I'm like, I got to figure this out. I have to see what's going on. I tried to run maybe 15, 20, 30 yards. I'm lucky if I made it 2 yards. Lucky. I stopped. I could not catch my breath at all. I had no wind. I was in North Park up around Pie Trainer,
Okay.
and I had to take a knee.
Wow.
And I'm like, man, something's really going on with me.
And I mean, for you, that's crazy, because you were like the guy, you and I both kind of worked out different
Right.
than all the young guys. You
Right,
know what I mean?
right,
We did all high intensity stuff.
Right.
We always tried to keep moving, and you were never tired,
Right, correct.
so that's got to be crazy.
Correct. So that really kind of concerned me, and that kind of really alerted me that something was going on.
Sure.
So the next day, obviously, went up, go to work, and I had a big meeting. I remember out in Cranberry. I had a meeting at Cranberry. with a company that we did business with, where we not only provided them with our hardware, we also staffed our employees there too.
Okay.
So we went out and we had a big meeting and talked with them. It was kind of like a quarterly review is what we called it. And I can remember distinctly during that meeting, I literally fell asleep
Oh, wow.
because I could not keep myself awake. And I'm like, man, this is just not good. Went home, talked to my wife, and I think the next day I called my PCP and I went in to see him. And the minute that I walked in to see my PCP, he's like, something's wrong with you. Because he knew me like you did.
Yeah, I mean, what's it like when you walk into that doctor's office and you see it on your doctor's face that, like, we got to be worried about something?
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Like, because, we go to the doctor all the time. You get your physical every year. You walk
Right.
in there, you piss in a cup, grab, cough, whatever.
Right.
And you're just like, another dumb thing we got to do.
Yeah.
But now you've got something going on that you have no clue what it is, but it has generally floored you.
Yeah, it's terrifying. Because I knew something was wrong. Just didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And at my house, the lighting is different. Because when I saw him, I was literally ghost white. I mean, and I've been obviously walking around like that for days, but no one figured it out. No one knew it. I'm a fair-skinned person. Hey, you just don't have a tan. My wife didn't pick it up because just the lighting in our house.
Sure. Fluorescence
Right.
really wash
Right.
it out.
And that's what alerted him to something's wrong. So we took a full blood panel at that point in time, and he thought I was anemic. Okay, this might be the issue. Let's run the blood, go home, and I'll call you. Well, at that point in time, that's where the pendulum swung. When he called me back, it wasn't, hey, this is what it is. He says, I need you to come back over to the hospital. I have a bed for you. So
Not just like, hey, we got to talk. It's
No.
like, you need to get in here now.
yeah, he goes, I need you to come over to the hospital right now. I have a bed ready and I have a room ready for you. So there was no prep for this. There was no talking about this. I went over into the hospital, was sitting in a bed. Again, they ran another blood panel. Came back. And it wasn't anybody I knew, Mark and Kelly. I mean, these people were just, physicians. It wasn't like I knew you. It wasn't like my PCP was there. It wasn't like I was, hey, guys, what's going on? Literally 2 people I never met in my life before, 2 doctors I never met in my life before, came back around the curtain, much like this, because there was someone on the other side of me. And that's when they told me, you have cancer. So there was no prep to this. And my hope from telling people this is that I didn't have the luxury of consulting with my doctor, figuring out what's going on, what's the plan. I mean, this literally all happened, the news and all that, within like a day's time. I mean, all these symptoms I was telling you about lasted for roughly 22 days. So my headache was 22 days of severe pounding in my head. My sleep habits have changed. My eating habits have changed. I was worthless. I don't even think I went to the gym within those 22 days. So I knew something was wrong with me because that was always my catch-all. If I can get there, if I can get my workout in, I feel good, I feel great. I give myself a self-check, I feel fine. No different than, you would do or anybody would do. So I knew something was going on. So I had no prep for this. And that's when, my wife and I sometimes talk and break it down. The immediacy of it all was what was the most hard to deal with.
Sure.
Because whenever those doctors told me that, then all of a sudden,
It's 100 miles an hour forward.
it is 100 miles an hour forward. So sitting at Passivant Hospital being told that, and I remember, I'm sitting here in a bed, my wife is right here. As soon as they told me, I looked at my wife and I said, oh my God. That's the only thing I could say.
I mean, nobody plans for this. Like,
No.
and you didn't even have an opportunity to, like, prepare.
Digest it.
No.
You had-
Yeah, it's like you have cancer.
That's correct.
This is it. We're
And
starting treatment, like, right away.
Yeah, and mine was flaming. It was absolutely, my blood work and all this stuff that goes in, what they look at, was absolutely off the charts, which now goes back to the fact that I was not even functional. I was just sleeping every day. My head hurt so bad. My eyes hurt so bad. My vision was compromised. I can remember being at work, going back to work thing. I can remember being at work before all this came to fruition, and I was having a hard time. Like if you and I were having a conversation, I was having a hard time focusing on you. my eyes were blurred. So that made me think that, like I said, it may be an eye thing.
Right. Something
'cause-
in the back where
Right,
yeah.
right. Blurry, and I couldn't, I'm working my eyes. I'm like, why can't I focus on this person? So, again, now knowing what I know, it makes perfect sense.
So did they have a stage you were at, or it
They-
was just you have blood
Yes.
cancer and this is
Yes.
how we're gonna treat it?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
That's exactly right. There was nothing about that's what I'm saying. There was no consultation with your doctor. And I'm not educated in it enough or deep enough to know if there is a stage to leukemia. It is truly because it affects your
You're
entire
sick
body.
and you're not sick.
Exactly. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
Okay.
It's your entire thing. It's your blood, and that runs everywhere. So that event happened. So while I'm at Passivant, the next move was, okay, now we're going to get you down to Presby.
Okay, yeah.
So now we go down to Presby. Okay, and then we get admitted to 7th floor Main, which was my home away from home. And I'm so fortunate and so lucky because all the nurses that I have down there, and I have such deep love for them, and I still on occasion, whenever I'm down at Hillman, I will go over to Presby and I will say hi to the nurses that were there taking care of me
Sure.
because they were such an integral part of my recovery and my how do I want to say it, my care. You get to be very, very close with these people because you spend so much time there.
Sure.
You bring up a great point. So you know that we both have our addictions, right?
Sure.
So addicts don't go through anything near what you go through. They go through a decision where it's made usually on the fly, but it's our choice.
Mm-hmm.
So mentally, what kind of mind fuck is it when you know something's wrong, but it's like that. You
Yeah.
literally don't have any time to adjust.
Yeah.
You have no time to talk to your family. You have no time to seek advice or a second opinion. It's like, if you don't go, you're going to die.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that?
Well, you know what? Initially, like you said, things happened so fast, you really didn't have a chance. You weren't really dealing with anything. You were just doing what you were told to do.
Just follow instructions,
That's
follow
all
the
it was.
protocol, and that's it.
That's it. We got down to Presby, got into 7 Main, and then all of a sudden it is a absolute 0 to 100. Everybody's in, everybody's getting you organized, everybody's talking about what's going to happen next. Doctors, blood draws, blood draw, you know what I mean? Blood draws. It's everything that's happening to you a million miles a minute, and you have no time to sit down and comprehend what's actually happening to you. All you know is that you're in a bad way. You're sick, and you've got to get better some way, somehow. But what is that going to be? Nobody knows until they come in and start talking about what's going to take place. So I was there that evening, and probably within 24 hours, chemo starts. That's when they start talking to you about, okay, here's what we're going to do. Because you have to look at AML and leukemia in like 2 phases. And my PA would always say this to me, and I'll never forget it. There's 2 kind of phases that she always says, and I'm trying to bring them to mind right now. There is a preventative stage, which you do initially. And then there's more of a curative stage, which I've dovetailed in over the years. Your preventative stage is just going in and getting what I had done. Massive doses of chemotherapy and hoping that your body responds to that. And see, that's the thing. Not everybody's the same. And everybody has this disease and this cancer that affects them differently. And that's the struggle, and that's what breaks my heart when I look at different people, because I'm no different than anybody else. And there's no reason why I should have any greater luck than anybody else should. But for some odd reason, I was very fortunate in terms of the chemotherapy that they gave me worked. And so whenever it starts working, they start looking at different levels as to where your blood is and all the intricacies that are around leukemia as to where they need to be. It's almost like a sliding scale they want to look at as to where you are in terms of, where this disease is at.
So they kind of have like a game plan and a parameter.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's
yeah.
within a range.
No question.
Okay.
No question. It's almost like if you go to the doctor and you get your blood draw,
Yeah.
you have your UPMC app, and you pull it up, and you can kind of see everything where it is on a scale.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
If it's mid-range, low, or high, yeah.
Right. Now, take it to, the next level in terms of all the stuff that they're looking for.
Sure.
That are incredibly intricate, and I have no I would never tell anybody that I know those, what they are and what they mean. But, you have to, be at certain levels. So, with God's grace, I was fortunate enough to have that happen. And it happened, on timetable for what they were expecting. So, that was probably what I think I spent 30 days in the hospital at that time.
Did you get sicker on the chemotherapy?
You know what? Good question, Cal. Very, very lucky, very fortunate. You always hear those bad stories of people getting incredibly sick, incredibly nauseous. Knock on wood. For whatever they put in me, and that stuff was brutal, I never spent a day nauseous or sick.
That's amazing.
Wow.
I
That's
don't know
amazing.
why. Honestly, I don't know why that happened, but I can remember that the stuff that they give you, or the stuff, the chemotherapy they gave me, that's strong stuff.
Yeah.
And what they're putting through your body is
Poison.
It's poison.
Poison to
You
kill
know what I
the
mean?
poison.
Right. I never really spent a day nauseous. I never spent a day sick. I was incredibly tired because of what it does to you. Because what they're trying to do is take everything out of your body and give you a basic, like you said earlier, that baseline there. And they want
Kind of
that
reset you.
Right. They want that at 0. Your immune system, gone. Everything else, your blood starts to get compromised. Your white blood cell count starts to get compromised. They want you at base level so that, again, you're exactly right. They can eradicate that disease. And then with that, they're hoping that within that chemotherapy, your body does its job. All 3 of us. Your body will do its job when it's compromised. Start building itself back up.
Did you have to go through like blood transfusions
Oh,
as well? Yeah, blood transfusions.
Many.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much blood I was given.
Yeah.
Bags and bags and bags and bags.
My mom's
Folks, side
O,
note,
so she
give blood. It
donates
helps
blood.
people. Don't
Absolutely.
forget to give blood.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my mom's a universal donor. I'm A negative.
Okay.
So, or no, I'm
A positive.
I'm A positive.
Right.
I'm sorry.
So maybe something you gave, I got.
Maybe I do give blood. Well, I did give blood. I haven't given blood in a while.
You know what, Mark makes a really, really good point, though. And, for anybody who listens to this, please, yes, go give blood. It is so valuable because there were days that I needed my blood transfused, but I would have to wait a couple hours here and there because the blood bank was so low. So they would have to wait, to get me what I needed.
Well, just so you know, I'm A positive. So if you
There
need
you
my
go.
blood again,
There you
know,
go.
I'm here.
So yeah, good call, Mark. Yeah, anybody who has the ability and who has the time, please give blood because it is valuable. And, for folks like myself, it's huge.
So let's piggyback off
Yeah,
of that.
yeah.
So now, you're in remission, correct?
Correct.
What are the after effects like on your immune system and things of that nature? Now that you're in remission, like, do you get colds quicker? Like, did the radiation and did all that treatment affect how your body fights off disease now and fights off like the common cold and?
Well, the disease and cold are 2 separate things. So when I came out of remission and I reoccurred in 2019, so what's the next step? As I said earlier, there is a preventative and there's a curative. So the next step is to go through your stem cell transplant. So that's what I did in 2019.
Wow.
So again, not only did the amount of chemo and the amount of rounds of chemo that I went through initially, I had to go through that again. Because again, we got to get you down to a baseline. We got to get you down to a 0. We got to let your body start recovering from that and killing that disease. And so when we're done with that, then we're going to give you the stem cells. Okay, so we did that. And that was fantastic. I remember the day. February 9th is my rebirth day, as we call it. It's my second birthday. It's my second shot. So February 9th at 10:10 in the morning, they rolled in this big, huge box, kind of like you kept all your stuff in.
Yeah.
But bigger.
Okay.
And cool stuff coming out of it, like the dry ice. Mm. So they wheeled that in, and that was all the stem cells that my sister gave me. And that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
We can get into that if you want to, because whenever you have to do this, if you don't have a donor that meets the criteria, then you have to go into the national bank, and you're hoping for someone that has your like body chemistry, so to speak. That really, really scared me because you're waiting for someone to help you.
Right.
And you're helpless completely.
To me, in my mind, that was terrifying. because I don't know how long that would take. And other people that were on my floor were waiting for their stem cell transplant. It could be a week, it could be however long. I didn't know. So what they start doing is they start going through your family, daughters, sons, etc. And I remember, I think I remember they initially tested my daughter and my son, and that came back that they were only 50%. Now, the way I understand that is that would have been fine.
Yeah.
And we probably could have rolled with that. But then that still leaves you with a 50% gap that isn't taken care of, because
Right.
really they want you to have a 100% match or as close you can get to that number. So then my oncologist is like, well, let's see who else in your family we can test. So my sister got tested, and it came back that she was, and this what I'm about to tell you is not the atypical occurrence and does not happen as regularly as you think. She was 100% matched to me.
Wow.
That is so massive in the scale of what folks like I go through. It's huge. She was 100% match. So then the rub to that was she has type 2 diabetes. So initially, whenever we found that out, we wanted to get her tested and go through the process of what she would need to go through, or talk to an oncologist that we set up down in Florida, because that's where she lives. And the doctor came back and said, I'm not quite sure this is going to work because of her diabetes. So all the testing they did, she had, she went and got all her, reviews and all that down in Florida, and that came back that he was a little bit uncertain whether or not this was a good thing to do, which was kind of turned into a funny part, because my doctor, Dr. Raptis, he had said, no, bring her up here and I'll do the testing.
Right. He has a pretty cool name, Dr. Raptis.
Yeah,
That's
he's
pretty cool.
he's a wonderful, tall, incredibly alpha male kind of a guy, Greek.
Nice.
Very thick Greek accent.
Nice.
So he said, no, you bring her up here and we'll do the testing that we need to do. And it came back again, 100%, and he's not worried about the diabetes and how that would somehow affect me. We're good to go. So once that bridge got crossed, she came back up here. I believe it was over a 3-day period of time. She went into, I can't remember what hospital she went to. I think she went down to Presby. And, she just sat there and they just took her blood. No different than anything else. Took her blood. And obviously it goes through a machine that separates what they need to, which was the stem cells. And that's what they wheeled in that day.
So it's not painful for you to donate stem cells?
No.
Hey, guys, donate stem cells.
It wasn't anything painful. The only thing it does, it beats you up a little bit
Sure.
because just the process and what you're going through. So,
Do they give you a cookie and apple juice afterwards?
I think they might have.
Okay, well,
I think they took care of her.
I think saving a life is worth cookie and apple juice and a little bit of fire.
That's right. So, she,
I can't wait for John to come back.
she had, that's what she did. And Kelly, you're not wrong by any imagination. She literally saved my life. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like I said, 10:10 in the morning, they wheel it in, hook the bag up, 20 minutes. That's all it took.
20 minutes to save your life.
So concentrated, right?
Yeah, the amount of chemistry and science that's involved in that bag is amazing. 20 minutes, done. There you go.
So what you're saying is Joe Rogan's not full of shit when he talks about stem cells.
No,
All right.
Joe Rogan's not full of shit at all.
So you make it through into remission for the second time.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Are you gun shy?
Oh, yeah. Very much so.
You mind talking about that a little bit? Like your thoughts? Like, do you change the way you live now?
Yeah, well, you can't help but have it change you.
Yeah.
It changes you mentally, it changes you physically. And to some degree I was, but to a larger degree I wasn't prepared for what cancer takes from you. And I mean that in all seriousness, because, when I look at myself pre-2017, I was a completely different person than I am today. Not only does it take a toll on you physically, and that in itself is its own separate challenge, but it takes from you mentally and it takes from you spiritually, and it doesn't give back. It doesn't give you that back. It takes it and it holds it and it takes it forever. You don't get it back. That's why when you hear people talking about fighting so hard and fighting through that process and, trying to get your life back, it's a day-to-day thing that you're just trying to get back to where you were, because in my brain, that's the only thing I knew is what I used to be. And now that's gone. And it was taken. And I felt, and I still feel a lot of resentment for that. And I still have my bad days, and I still have my good days. And I still talk to my wife about certain ways and certain things that I'm feeling on those days. And it can happen in an instant. I could be driving, or I could be talking, or I could be doing something, and all of a sudden, something hits my mind and makes me remember what I went through. And I give pause to that, and I give thanks to that, and I'm thankful for that I made it through. But for the amount of things that it took from me physically, mentally, and spiritually, I still work on a daily basis to try and get those things back.
Right.
And it's a struggle every single day to try and get those things back, because in the back of your mind, it's always there. It never goes away. You wake up every single day and you think, okay, I feel pretty good today. I don't have any symptoms of what I used to have, so I feel good. And you thank who you need to thank for being able to wake up with your eyes open and have that kind of a day available to you. So if it's one thing that I've learned, is to value each and every single day, and it's still a struggle. And I know sometimes, that just might be, a phrase that everybody talks about and all that good stuff, but, I very much try to embrace every single day and be thankful for that day and let go of the stuff that doesn't mean anything. We're so caught up in things that we don't really need to be involved with or don't have control over, or we get upset about things that are just ridiculous. And, up until you have an event in your life like I did, you don't really appreciate the things that are just beautiful and real and rich, and that what you should stand for. Just living a good life, be a good person, love your wife, love your kids, and be thankful that you have a roof over your head. You have running water, you have food. And all this other stuff just becomes nonsensical.
Well,
Because it doesn't matter, because nothing outside of those things can help you.
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from. I'm sure Mark can understand too, because recovery is a process as well.
Granted, we're not comparing what
No,
by any means,
absolutely.
by any means.
That's not what we're doing. It's not what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But being able to connect with you on that, being thankful level, the spiritual thanking,
Right.
that type of thing, because we've seen the bottom of hell too, just in a different area.
Absolutely.
Like you were in the suburbs of hell, and we were in the other suburbs of hell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
we were in Section 8.
we were Section 8.
Yeah, where they put all the idiots.
But like waking up every morning and being thankful that you've made it out, that you've
Yeah.
gotten to the point where you don't have to wake up and lie to people, and for us,
Right.
Well, you're coming up on 6 months on the 5th of May, correct?
yeah,
That's correct.
That will
a
be my
year.
year.
yeah,
Fantastic.
we actually are.
We have the same
coinciding.
date, just 6 months apart.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Kel. Like, a lot of the stuff that we've learned, once again, we are not comparing, because what you went through is by far so much worse than what
So
we went
much
through.
worse.
Because you didn't have a choice.
Right.
We chose to live our lives like idiots.
Right. Right.
We chose to do the wrong thing, go the wrong way, take the wrong choices. That was our burden to bear.
Right.
But every day we wake up and, like I wear the Serenity Prayer around my neck. I wear St. Michael around my neck.
Sure.
I'm not a religious guy.
Sure.
But these things mean something to me
Absolutely.
now. Because every day I wake up and the first thing I say to myself is, I'm grateful that I'm not a drunk anymore.
Right.
I'm grateful that I don't want to hurt myself, or I don't, I didn't die from this disease, or I didn't try to kill myself. Like all these things that my addiction brought. And like you, there's things that it's taken from me. There's things that I will never get back. I will never be able to heal the relationships that I've destroyed. I will never be able to go back to the jobs that I never should have quit. All these things all these decisions that I made, they were based on, a selfish motivation. So, and when I say this, I mean this without a doubt, dude. You are the strongest person I know.
Thank you.
Because not only did
That
you
means a lot to me. Thank you.
Not only did you kick cancer in the balls once, you did it twice.
Yeah.
And
That's amazing.
I have 100% faith in you, dude. Like when I saw you at the gym 3 months ago, I didn't even know you were sick.
Yeah.
Like you look great.
Yeah, thank
You
you.
look amazing.
Yeah.
You know, you look better than me, and I still go to the gym all the time, and I
Right,
didn't
right.
have cancer. You know, but like I'm just grateful that you're willing to talk about these things because
Absolutely.
this is the stuff people have to hear.
Absolutely.
You know, like the real meat and potatoes of
Yeah.
what it's like to suffer.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, one really good thing you brought up is that you love the people that treated you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, can you go into that? Like, I mean, I don't know how you're going to explain it, but can
No.
you go into it a little bit more about like, you know, what they did?
Mm-hmm.
Was it their personality? Was it their mannerisms? Was it their bedside manner? Like, what made you
You know what? Honestly,
be endeared to them?
yeah. Honestly, it was all three of those things. You know, their bedside manner, their want and desire, and love for me to care for me. But in a way, I think most importantly, everybody there knows what's going on.
So you felt like they like honestly cared about you as the
Absolutely.
person,
100%.
not you the patient.
100%. 100%.
Because that's something a lot of people don't get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of
That's
people
exactly right.
have a medical procedure or some type of medical trauma, and they don't feel like the people that cared for them were actually caring for,
Yeah.
you know, Kelly Gibson or Mark Nebo. They were caring for patient so and so.
Right.
Yeah, I had a
There's
really
a
rough
completely
time.
different
Yeah.
thing right there. You know what I mean? That's two different worlds.
The care and love I felt from each one of the nurses was, you know, again, I could talk about it forever because it's something that never leaves me. It was real. And, you know, the love and the care that they gave my wife was real. You know, my wife has become to be very, very good friends with one of my main nurses. You know, every I think it's like once a month they go out to breakfast together. They talk, they catch up. So whenever you form those type of relationships out of that scenario, I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, they see each other, and you know, we're still involved in their lives to a degree. We still know when they have kids, and you know, all these kind of great things that you become involved with just by this unfortunate event. You've found great people who love and care for you. So you know, on a daily basis, you know, they would show me that every single day. And the one thing that really helped me was that they were so calm about what was happening. And that gave me a calmness in myself that no matter what I'm going through, you know, for these 30 days that I'm in the hospital, they just kind of set that at a very, very calm demeanor.
Yeah.
Nothing was ever too great. Nothing was ever too small.
Sure.
Hey, we're going to get your blood today. Be back in an hour.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing what
You know what I mean?
It's amazing what confidence and
Exactly.
them feeding off of your emotion.
Yeah.
Like knowing they can tell how you feel that day.
Absolutely.
You know, so them paying attention to that just shows that, like, you know, all these horror stories about like how, you know, big pharma and how healthcare sucks and
Yeah.
all these things. This is a prime example of when it's done right.
Yeah.
You know, when the caregivers are caregivers. They're not nurses. They're not doctors. They are caregivers. They're there to make sure that you are taken care of.
Yeah.
And that's phenomenal, man. And like, if you want to, give a shout out to your nurses, shout out to your doctor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's amazing, man. I'm so happy that they were there for you
Yeah, thank
because
you.
I couldn't imagine, you know, what you went through, and I'm
Yeah.
glad you're still here, man.
Yeah, thank you. But you know what? You said something that is incredibly accurate and so true, and it just resonated me as soon as you say it. And again, you know, I'll go back to what I said earlier. I'm no different than anybody else. I just happen to be a fortunate person, but what you said was impactful. Everything that I went through was done right. There weren't any missteps. There weren't any, I'm not sures. There wasn't any, we don't know. It was all done right. Every day was done right. Every day piggybacked upon the next day, the previous day, and you just work that process. And that was huge. Good point. Everything was done right. Hey, and if you ask me why did that happen, I don't know. I can't answer those questions. Those questions are going to be answered some point in time whenever it becomes my time, because I don't know those answers.
Right.
But I do know that everything was done right.
Well, to the doctors and nurses that took care of my friend Keith here, thank you so much for keeping him on this earth so we could have him on the podcast and learn about him a little bit more, and so he could be there for his family for another 20, 30, 40 years. Thank you so much for doing what you do. We appreciate everything that you guys do in the medical field.
Yeah. That's a big shout out to Dr. Raptis, and a big shout out to my PA, Christine Waters. Those two have been the pillars, and he was the architect of my care, Dr. Raptis. And, to this day, I still see him once a month, because I have to go down and I still have to get my blood drawn once a month and make sure everything is going according to plan, because there's still things that can happen during post-transplant. So they have to make sure that I am in those ranges, and I have to make sure that nothing is percolating there on the backside. You made another point earlier about immune systems and things like that. My immune system is very good. It does what it needs to do. It gets back to where it should be, no different than anybody else. So I'm fine with that. Do I get sick a little quicker or a little more than most? I would probably say yes. But the concern is that once I have that, I have to address it quickly.
Yeah.
Back in February, I was, sick for about, 4 or 5 weeks, cold, sinus thing. Typically if it was probably anybody else, I'll just go to the doctor, I'll let it ride, or whatever the decision they make. I have to make that call into my doctor to make sure that they're aware of it. Because A, we need to A, get rid of it, and B, any drug that I get, they need to know about it. Because when I walk in and I get my blood drawn, if something's off and they don't know about it, okay, Keith, why is this way? Okay, so then that becomes to the unknown. If they don't know about it, then it becomes in their mind, it's exactly, it's a red flag. So what's going on here? Why is your blood counts different than what they were 4 weeks ago? So, again, they are pretty much, my first go-to in terms of calls, that if I don't feel good, I call them, versus you guys might call your PCP.
Yeah.
I'll call them first, and then they'll tell me, okay, get your PCP involved. Like I needed 2 rounds of antibiotics for this last cold I had. Well, whenever I called them back and I said, hey, I'm still having some struggles, I'm still having a cough, et cetera, they would say, well, listen, we gave you what we can give you, but, call your PCP and he can work you out from there. So, yeah, they're my first default call for anything that happens. And that'll be like that for quite a while. But as we work this process through, I'm out to, I see my doctor every 2 months, where it was every 1 month. So now, again, I think the goal is try to work that out to a year.
Just baby steps.
Exactly. But they're very, very slow, and they take time. And the baby steps don't happen overnight. So anybody out there that's listening, trust me and believe me that it is an absolute process. Nothing's going to happen overnight. We're talking weeks and months of things staying consistent. That's what they're looking for. They want things to be consistent in your blood work and what they're looking at. And provided that things stay consistent, then we can move you out for your appointments and the times and the frequencies that we come back and see you, or you see us. So that's kind of the stage we're at now, because you figure once I came out of transplant, I was at Hillman 3-4 days a week. Okay, things go well. Let's back you down to 3 days. Things go great. Let's back you down to 2 days. So then all of a sudden we're at 1 day. You know what I mean? So it's an absolute process that takes time. And the medicines that you're on to help you overcome this take time. And anybody who has a vision of, I'll only be on this for a little bit, that's probably not the case. Whatever medicines they have you on you're gonna be on for quite a while.
Sure.
Again, because those have to be in place. And the big thing with leukemia is that they want to suppress your immune system and your body for as long as they can, so all this starts grafting and working and taking off the way it should be.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So to the people that are watching and listening, with what you've gone through, what would be some things to take away? I don't want to say counsel or advise, because we don't do that here. We just talk.
Yeah.
But if someone's going through something, or they're feeling a little off, or something doesn't feel right, what kind of kickback can you give them from what you went through?
You mean in terms of what they may be feeling, like in terms of interaction with
the importance of addressing it, the importance of paying attention to your body.
Yeah. That's a good point. And for anybody out there who's listening, I think, relative to what I went through, if you're experiencing the things that I went through, then time is of the essence, because it's something that's not going to fix itself, and it's something that's only going to create and get worse for you and knock you down more physically. It's the tiredness. It's the overwhelming tiredness. I'm not talking like, hey, I only got 6 hours of sleep last night, I'm tired. It's the fact that you literally cannot keep your eyes open. Your body wants to shut down because in essence, that's what your body's doing. Your body is shutting down. So it's telling you that. Your sleep and the amount of sleep that you need and you want and you crave, like I was craving to go home and go to bed. Really, really severe headaches. Vision, any type of issues with your vision. And more importantly, as this disease gets into your body and it starts taking over your body, your immune system is compromised. And one of the big things that I'll always go back to, and if anybody ever has this issue and it's not resolving, please go get it checked out. I remember at one point in time I had a cut on my calf. And it festered into just, almost like a weeping kind of wound.
Wow.
And, went and got it taken care of. And, this, we can go off on this too. It was a weeping wound that I just got taken care of. I went over to my PCP and I got antibiotics. So, we can maybe take a step back because this is another one of the red flags that I got. So thank you for bringing that up. It was on my calf, and like I said, it was just kind of like a weeping wound. Took time, never got better. It was just, progressing, got antibiotics, went away. But then I had another one on my hip, and that just starts to turn into like a boil. So what's happening in your body is that all these things, all these nicks and cuts everybody gets, they're going to heal. No big deal. But my immune system was so weak and so compromised, it didn't have the energy or the ability to cure a cut. So what does it do? It just turns it into something worse. Same with my hip. It just turned into the huge abscess, that I had to go over and I had to get, that taken care of. So, again, it's being mindful of what's happening to your body that's huge. And if you have these things and you have these overwhelming sleep disorders or desires and headaches and vision problems and things on your body aren't healing appropriately, it's time to go get that checked out, because I will tell you this, and my PCP told me this, he goes, I never really gave that much thought in terms of the wounds that you had and the abscesses that you had in your body. I never drew a line from that to leukemia.
Wow.
So then he told me another story of another gentleman that came in and saw him and had the exact same markers that I did, and he was able to advise him that we need to look into this, because it was such an odd thing, and I don't know that he ever saw it before, that there was a distinct connection between those wounds that weren't healing as to what in reality was happening.
So
inside my
indirectly,
body.
you help somebody else
Yeah.
by having a weird scenario pop up.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Exactly. And
So-
it would, yeah.
So at the end of the day, basically, it's pay attention. You know your body.
Yeah.
Pay attention to what your body's telling you. Don't sit back and, go, oh, I'll be fine. It's just a thing. As soon as you start feeling something that's outside of your norm, get it checked.
Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds like that's like the biggest
Yeah,
key.
that's a big takeaway. And with this type of cancer, you will, unfortunately, it will distinctly show its face. You will know that something is wrong with you because you don't have the physical capabilities any longer to manage yourself. Like I said to you a minute ago, Kelly, it is literally just, it is just taking the inside of your body and it is just destroying it.
Did they, by any chance, tell you, like, if you had not caught this, what the path would have been for you?
Never came up.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah, they
came up.
said.
Because,
yeah.
doctors always want to tell you
No,
the
I would
bad.
be. No, I would be lying to you if I told you if I didn't ask that, because I did. And my doctor was he's such an amazing person. He's so stoic, and he is, just one of those guys that is just, he's just an amazing, amazing human. And I remember asking that question when we were talking, and he said, I'm not sure I ever brought that up.
He's like, I don't care. Yeah.
Right.
I don't care because you're going to survive this.
But Kels, that's exactly right. I never brought that up. What are you talking about? So it never got to that level because the level was exactly what you said. Here's what we're going to do, and it's going to work.
Yep.
And that's
Confidence.
and that's the thing about Dr. Raptis that's, so amazing. He knows exactly what the plan is, and he didn't divert from it. He never wavered from it, and he never showed me anything but 1,000% confidence.
See, I completely came on here wanting to bash Major Medical because of what you and your daughter went through, because of
man.
what one of my family members is going through right now. But I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
I will. I still.
I mean,
will.
we're going to talk about it, but like, I feel like a dick now because it's like this
Listen.
guy's over here saying, "Oh my God, I would have been dead," and he's here, and I'm like, "This is amazing story, and this is amazing stuff." And I really didn't think you were going to go into it like this.
Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of surprised that you opened up
Yeah.
as much as you did, and I really appreciate it
sure.
because I think everybody needs to hear this stuff.
Absolutely.
Right, and then Presby is an awesome hospital as well. Like my mom works there; she's worked there for 42 years.
Okay.
You know, my dad worked there for 42 years. That's where they met. All of my health care, I had multiple surgeries there. You know, I never
The
had a problem.
lobotomy.
It was a lobotomy. They went through my left eye, but they were talking about going through my right eye.
Gotcha.
But they were afraid I'd lose my personality, so they just went through my left eye.
So you just lost your
Ability to
personality.
keep my. You knew what I was gonna say, right?
Yeah, I knew what you were going to say. All right, so let's transition a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
So I have a family member that is going through something with Major Medical right now. She's been off for a year. Got diagnosed 9-10 months ago with an issue that needed a surgery. Been waiting 6 months for the company that makes the prosthesis to do something. Like, it doesn't make sense how, you know, you have one scenario where everybody just does everything perfect. But then you have this other scenario where someone is sitting off work, not able to do anything because what?
Right.
Somebody's not getting enough money for the part, or somebody doesn't care because they aren't worried about you.
Right.
They're worried about that procedure, and they're worried about that percentage, and they're worried about that device and how much they're going to make for it. Like, and then with what you're going through,
Cheyenne has cirrhosis on her liver, and
the girl's never drank.
she never drank.
Yeah, you know
she
what?
actually went into the hospital the day after her 21st birthday. She didn't even have a drink for her 21st
I can
birthday.
give her my liver because, believe it or not, it's excellent.
I already offered.
But you know, that's funny what you said. I mean, and when you told me that off camera, I wasn't really sure about that because I only associate that with
Drinking.
drug use,
exactly
drinking,
exactly.
liver disease.
Right.
Exactly. And we don't know where it's coming from. Like, I have my suspicions. I think it might have something to do with the psych meds.
Okay.
Because
Well, do you want to go into, like, not specifics, but what actually went on with your daughter?
Sure. Cheyenne has been having stomach issues for quite some time. It's been a long time, and it goes off and on. And sometimes she's nauseated, and sometimes it's diarrhea, and sometimes But a lot of the times it's I'm just not hungry. I don't want to eat, and it was because her stomach was hurting, but she didn't want to tell me that because I'm the type of mom that's like, suck it up, Buttercup, take a Tums,
You only have one child, right?
Yes, but I helped raise two
Okay.
other ones. So
Are they in prison?
They're not. They're not. One is going to have a baby in June, a little girl. And
That's fantastic.
yeah,
So you actually know what you're doing.
I do. It's surprising. I mean, I'm a mess. I can't keep myself straight. But like with
I was
little
gonna say.
With other people, you're
other
good.
people, I can direct you and tell you what to do.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, she was having stomach issues, and that progressed, and she was getting sick so often. It was, Mom, I'm off of school. I've been throwing up all night. Mom, I'm off of school. I've been throwing up all night for months now. And then last month, she started throwing up on a Monday. No, she started throwing up on a Sunday, and she didn't stop throwing up. And by the time it got to Friday, she hadn't eaten anything since Sunday. Her boyfriend said, "We're going to the."
Because remember when I talked to you Saturday night, Sunday morning, when this all started.
Yeah. So she went into the hospital Friday night. I rushed over there after work, and I'm like, "Who'd you talk to?" Well, nobody. Well, what do you mean you haven't talked to anybody? She's sitting on a gurney outside in the hallway of Mercy's emergency room.
And she went through this all week?
Yeah, all week long. But she was so used to throwing up all the time that she didn't even think about it. She was just like, I'm sick. And, and I told her, she took a pregnancy test. like to make sure she wasn't pregnant. Like that's where our mind automatically went was, oh my God, the birth control failed. But no, it wasn't the case. Friday into Saturday, she finally gets a room in the ER, and they start taking blood. Don't know what it is. 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 They give her Zofran to stop the nausea.
That's like the nausea medicine that you take and it dissolves underneath your tongue?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Only they were giving it to her through her IV, so it was right in there.
Correct.
She was sick, slept the whole time. Saturday into Sunday, she's still in the ER. Still no answers. Still don't know what's going on. First, they're saying it was her gallbladder, but she isn't presenting any signs of her gallbladder. Mm-hmm. You know, they do they were supposed to do an ultrasound on Saturday. She didn't get the ultrasound until Tuesday, you know, because Sunday they finally get her into a room. Sunday into Monday, she's in a room, and that night she called me and she was like, I'm supposed to get the ultrasound at 7 p.m. And I was like, oh, okay.
And that's going to be of her abdomen?
Yeah, ultrasound of her abdomen, because they were going to check the gallbladder, the spleen, and then she had to do a barium swallow. So she's doing all of these things, CAT scans, MRIs. They do all of this stuff. Nothing. They don't know what's going on. So now we're going into Tuesday. And finally, Tuesday, another doctor did another test, and they were like, oh, it's Epstein-Barr syndrome. And now me and her, I happen to know about Epstein-Barr because my ex-husband has it. Mm-hmm. He let it go to the point where he was so ill, he had to be hospitalized, and he was in the hospital for days and days and days while they intravenously fed him because he hadn't eaten in so long.
Wow.
Well, this is like, you know, I can handle it myself type of person.
Yeah.
But then we're now a month removed. Mm-hmm. They know it's Epstein-Barr.
Okay.
She had hepatitis A, probably from the food at school, which I'm like contemplating asking if I can like sue the school for that, because like that's not something that you do. Like hepatitis A from food? I mean, that makes me want to take her off the meal plan. I already give her money for food, but geez.
Is that what they had said, that it's most likely from the food?
Hepatitis A you get from food or drink.
Okay.
That's
Maybe
the
it's your cooking.
maybe, but I'm not sick. I mean, I'm not sick bodily. I'm sick-minded, but I'm not sick in my body.
I was going to say,
Right.
everybody out there already knows that you are not normal.
Oh no, I'm not normal.
To make that distinction.
I embrace that shit. Okay,
So
like
we're a month in now, and they finally know what's going on.
cirrhosis, Epstein-Barr, and then the hep. She had the antibiotics, and then she got an immunization, an inoculation for it.
See, here's where one of my problems with major medical is. It feels to me like every experience that I've had and every experience that I've heard of, if you know, emergency care, of course, gets the priority, right? Like if you're dying, they're taking care of you first.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that the care for others should fall off. You know, the fact that you're bouncing around for a week before you even have a clue what's going on, I get it. Some things don't pop out right away, right? Like some things you're not going to know right away. But, you know, sending you home and saying, oh, it's this, and then bringing you back and saying, no, it's this. It's like, if you don't know, you don't know. Shut your mouth. Don't say shit.
Well, there's
You know,
still
just tell them we don't know. We're still doing our research, you know. Right. By telling you that it's this, and then I remember how upset you were. Like, you know, as your friend, I'm like, what do I say? You know, you're losing your shit because they're saying it's this. You got to have her gallbladder out. And I remember we had a conversation. I'm like, listen, I'll give you whatever organs that work left.
You still have.
But, you know, as a mom, I mean, how did that make you feel when you're sitting there and your child is going through all this shit?
I mean, frustrating. It's frustrating. You know, and I said this to you, and I was like, you know, all the shit I put my body through. Like, all of the shit I put my body through. And this kid, she's such a good kid. You know, I lucked out so bad. You know, she's smart, and she's funny, and she's dedicated, and...
Oh, all the things you're not.
All the things I'm not. She really is all the things I'm not. She's
Yeah, and I mean, I'm kind of joking, but I'm kind of serious.
no, I know, and I'm kind of taking your yes.
Okay.
I agree with you.
Because we have this thing where we go back and forth all the time, so
Right.
it's hard to tell when I'm being serious.
Okay. But anyway,
Yeah, right. Moving on.
moving on.
Yeah.
Now that he's called me dumb.
Yeah.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Never said dumb. I love all women.
Yeah, and a lobotomy.
In a lobotomy.
Lobotomy, yes.
Yes.
Lobotomy,
And I'm
yes.
crazy.
Yeah.
Women are amazing.
Yeah, right. Okay. Misogynist number one over here.
Stop. So wrong.
But yeah, she's such a good kid, and if I could just like, why is it happening to her, and why couldn't it just happen to me? Like, I would rather be dealing with Epstein-Barr and cirrhosis on my liver and like all of these things just so that she could live a happy, healthy life. Yeah. At this point, she's 21 years old, and like not saying that alcohol is like a major thing, but she can't have her first drink when she turned 21.
Yeah.
She can't drink anymore.
I mean, so how does this affect like her moving forward? Like, what kind of behavior changes does she have to make?
She's got to be careful standing up and sitting down because she gets dizzy. She has to completely change her diet. No fried foods, no fast foods, no heavy fiber diet,
Right.
no pop, no juice
Anything that's
concentrate.
going to irritate.
Anything that's going to irritate.
Right? So, I mean, you make a good
Acidic.
point. The pops are going to do that. The coffee's going to do that. Any fried food is going to do that.
Yep.
That runs through your system, and it's just an irritation.
Yeah, so basically it's the same thing that happens like if you've had your gallbladder removed. Your gallbladder processes all that nasty that you put in your body. If you don't have a gallbladder, there's nowhere for it to go, so you're going to get an upset stomach. You're going to have, symptoms of vomiting and diarrhea because you're putting garbage into your system. She can't do that anymore. So that's why, like, yesterday we were talking about it, I made sauce from scratch. And I was like, come over and have some sauce. And red sauce normally does irritate, but for her, it hasn't posed a problem.
Okay.
So she had a little bit of red sauce with some pasta and some bread, and she was so happy. She was just like happy as a clam because like she's eating ramen. That's her go-to is ramen and pizza rolls.
Yeah, I mean, and to your point, it's almost it's almost like you have to come to the point where you understand what your new normal is. Mm-hmm. No different than any one of us at this table. I mean, that's your new normal, and that's what's happening. That's your day to day.
Yeah, and then like we're talking to a nutritionist and finding alternate different things that she can try. And that's the other thing is she's a super picky eater. My kid's a chicken nugget kid.
Yeah. I think that whole generation is.
It's a chicken nugget
my
kid.
daughter's 20, as old as your daughter, and,
Yeah.
and to this day she'll go home. What's your meal? It's pasta or chicken nuggets.
Pasta, chicken nuggets.
That's what they
it.
eat.
Yep, that's.
I'm not gonna lie. I like
Yeah,
chicken nuggets.
yeah, absolutely.
I have 2 bags of them in my freezer.
I don't eat chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
So do you feel that this was handled well?
No. The not knowing, like, okay, so we also talked about this. It's called practicing medicine for a reason.
Yes.
Okay.
I was just gonna say that.
It is called practicing medicine for a reason. We go to doctors and we expect them to have all the answers right then and there, right now, and they don't. They have to do research.
I mean, they're human.
They're human. There's error involved, but like the way that we did the back and forth was just like I'm in there and I'm like, okay, so what's next? Well, if it's this, then we might have to do this, or we may have to do this. But if it's this, we have to do it this way. And I'm like, oh, okay. So how do we figure it out? Well, we don't know yet.
See, I'm a firm believer I'm a firm believer that you only say what you need to say. Like when I was a cop. You don't put it all out there.
Right.
You say what you need to say. When you're in court, they ask you a question. Yes, no, answer the question, be done. It's the same thing with a doctor. Like, I would prefer that a doctor not give me 17 different possibilities and just be like, we don't know right now. Let's do some more tests. And I think putting it out there and saying it's her gallbladder, now you personally are adjusting to the idea that my daughter has to have her gallbladder out. But then they say, now it's her liver. Now you've got to shift, and now you're thinking it's something else.
Well,
so it just keeps preparing you for things, and it's got to stress you out.
She's got another doctor appointment coming up to talk about having her gallbladder out.
Yeah.
From a month ago. First they said that she had to have it out. It was her gallbladder. It's her gallbladder, it's her gallbladder, it's her gallbladder. Okay. we're going to schedule her for surgery. Well, then they do the ultrasound. She doesn't have a damn gallstone in there.
Yeah.
No gallstone. So then they think that she has a gallstone in her bile duct. So then they're doing that barium swallow. No gallstone in the bile duct. Like
And keep in mind, but all these things are good things.
yeah.
You know, these
Yeah.
things aren't transpiring. They're not happening. You know, those are all, even though those tests are being, you know, there's a lot of testing going on, but each one's coming back and clearing her.
Understood, but now they're saying she's going back to another doctor, and they're saying, "Oh, we're gonna take your gallbladder out."
Have you had the same doctor the whole time, or have you had multiple?
No,
That's
multiple
another problem I
doctors.
have.
There was only one nurse
Yeah.
that she liked. The other nurses, she said, you know, she had problems with, and asked for them not to come back in her room. You know, it was just
And that's the thing too, that, you know, we talked about a little earlier, you know, and that's the thing that gets you is, you know, in my scenario, my care, and the folks that were giving me my care never changed. They were always the same, consistent person, people.
You need that.
Across the board.
You need that, otherwise you're not going to be comfortable.
You need that, and I feel bad that she has to go through kind of like a round robin of doctors. Now I understand that you may, you know, someone, you know, your doctor or even my doctor might, you know, say a specialist, but I mean that makes sense. But you know, to go through, you know, kind of like a carousel of doctors is kind of unnerving, and I can see where you're at with that because any parent, you know, like you said earlier, you know, I would rather it happen to me.
yeah.
I mean, if you know, if you know, my wife will laugh, but you know, when one of my kids were young and they got the flu, I would get so aggravated and agitated because I would just rather me take it.
Right.
Instead, even as you know, benign as a flu, you know, you hate to see that happen, and you'd rather take it upon yourself. So I can certainly appreciate and understand what you're saying by, yeah, I would rather this all happening to me
Yeah.
because she doesn't deserve that.
She doesn't. Like,
Yeah, and like you and I, like you said, you and I have done some things to our body that should probably be in the record books.
yes.
You know, and not in the healthy record books.
Yeah.
No.
You know, and you would think that we would be suffering from something at this point.
And we're not.
Not
I mean,
yet.
I had my gallbladder taken
Yeah.
out. That was a whole different. I had a whole different crazy scenario with that. Went into the ER. I went to Presby.
Okay.
I went into the ER at 3:00 in the morning. I woke up with the worst pain. It was taking my breath away.
Yeah.
I've never been in such pain in my life.
Yeah.
And I had a kid. You know what I mean? And it was taking my breath. And I wake my husband, my ex-husband, he was my husband at the time, wake him up and I say, "There's something wrong." And he's like, "What?" I was like, "I don't know, but there's something wrong. We have to go to the hospital." Go to the hospital. I was in the ER from 3:00 in the morning until almost 8:00 in the morning with no pain meds. Wow. And when they finally did the ultrasound, they said that my gallbladder looked like it had been shot with birdshot. There were so many gallstones in it. And they were like, "You never had an attack before?" I was like, "No. No, I never. This is the first time." And I'm like, "Can I have pain meds now, please?" Like, because I was in such a tremendous amount of pain. But, like, that was really mishandled. I actually got loud with the doctor, and my dad was a security guard there, and he leaned down and said, "Kelly, we've put people in 4-point restraints for less than that.
Yeah.
You need to stop."
Yeah.
And I'm like, he goes, "I get it. You're in pain. You know, you're tired. You can't sleep, and you're tired of being poked, prodded, blood drawn. I get it, but you gotta, like, rein it in, girl." So,
It's frustrating because like 2.5, 3 years ago, I had a procedure done. It was called radio frequency ablation. They take needles and they stick the needles into the tissue, and the needles have electrodes within the tissues,
Okay.
and they burn the nerve cells from the inside out.
oh,
When all I needed to do is quit drinking. Like, I stopped drinking and the pain went away.
Interesting.
Like, it was an unnecessary procedure that cost like $5,000
Yeah.
because they saw someone that was in pain. They saw someone that wanted relief. And the quickest thing was to say, "Hey, we can take care of your pain if we do this." Not, "Hey, do you drink? How much do you drink?" Maybe if you cut back on drinking, that pain will go away. And it did. Once I stopped drinking, I don't have pain anymore.
That's interesting.
You know, and it's like, it just seems like, you know, big pharma, medical companies, you know, everybody out there is out there to make money.
Well, you know what they say. I mean,
Unfortunately.
you know, we're an over prescribed country.
oh,
to a large degree. And I think, that's a good point, because I think you guys could probably speak to that more, going through that aspect of it. I'm quite sure that, prescribing medications is somehow, I'm sure it's cause and effect to what you guys went through, right?
I mean, for me, it was alcohol. So my thing was I just drank
Right.
like an idiot all the time.
Right.
When I went to treatment and went through my detox,
That's what I'm saying.
They gave me Ativan
Okay.
to mellow me out.
Okay.
And to avoid me getting DTs,
Yeah.
delirium tremens, all the bad shit that happens with stop drinking rapidly.
Right.
And then an anti-seizure medication to keep me from going into seizures.
Okay.
If I wouldn't have had those things, I can't tell you how bad my detox would have been.
Right.
Because like literally I watch people that refuse the meds and they're just a mess for 5, 6, 7 days because, heavy drinkers, heavy sustained drinkers, you become your life support is that booze. Your life support is that substance. So, I would have taken whatever they gave me. Looking back on it, I wish I could have done it again and not taken all that stuff because I don't like taking pills for anything.
Could you have made it through without taking that stuff?
I don't know. I mean, it was one of those things where I got down there and like I said, it was my bad decisions got me down there. And they were like, if we give you this, it's going to be easier. And I was like, okay, like, I don't want this to be super difficult because I just didn't know what I was in for, So I'm glad I took it. But, Ativan's a benzo, and that's one of the most addictive substances out there. Okay. So if you're not careful, they wean you, they bring you up and they wean you off before you get off of it. So it's different. Kels, I mean, you were a pill girl. So, I mean, how easy was it to get that stuff?
It was not as easy.
Even not through DS.
through legitimate channels, hard.
Yeah.
It's super hard. They're
Now it is post 90s.
yeah, it's super hard now. Like they know what they're looking for. They can see your symptoms. They can tell that you're addicted to something.
And you're saying whenever you try to go back through the proper channels, like through doctors and stuff like that,
dentists, and
they can tee that up real quick.
Oh yeah, they know immediately if you're just pill seeking.
They know if you're tweaking and
They know.
Oh really? That's interesting. See, that's that's something that I wouldn't. They're that keen to it.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I mean, you figure
they're trained to.
since the early 2000s when they had when the epidemic started, the heroin epidemic or the opioid epidemic started. I think it was like early, like 2005, 2010, somewhere in there, where it really started to become an issue. They were giving those things away. Prescriptions for 90, 180 pills. Yeah. Now they cut you like 45, 60. Like they're finally somebody's finally taking some accountability to where these pills are going.
Yeah.
For the last 6 years, with dipshit. The
I
most
love it when you say dipshit.
the most recent ex.
That's your ex-husband?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
This is another one.
Ex-husband was over 6 years ago.
Okay.
Like he's. I don't have anything bad to say about him.
Gotcha.
We don't talk about him. The most recent one decided he was going to beat the hell out of me on Halloween.
Okay.
Yeah, so like we call him dipshit.
Okay.
But
DS for short.
we call him DS for short. But he had a prescription, and he was feeding them to me.
Gotcha.
And that was part of the control thing.
Right. I was just gonna say that.
It was
That keeps you coming back.
Oh yeah, like that's a whole another story that we
film every week, babe.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot. But for the longest time, I was just getting it from him. I could get it off the street. We knew who to call. It's not that difficult to get it off the street. You just have to know who to call, what channels to go through, what kind of shitbag that knows another shitbag that might be selling their mom's medicine.
Right.
But coming off of that, I didn't have rehab.
You did this all on your own.
I did it myself.
Which is amazing to me.
Thanks.
I'm so proud of you still. 6 months, that's amazing. Because when I met you, you were a basket case.
So you guys were not in the same place.
No. See, I went to a facility down in Florida.
Okay.
I had hit rock bottom. Like I was in bad shape, man.
Okay.
I was drinking like half gallons on top of half gallons, right? So I went down there, and to what we were talking about with you, like having good health care. The people down there were absolutely amazing. Like I still, on my anniversary, I have to send all kinds of cards out because if it wasn't for the people at that treatment center, I would be dead. I would be drinking myself to death.
Right.
they took an interest in me as a person. I like to say that they didn't treat me like I was sick. They treated me like a human being. Because when they treat you like you're sick, they treat you like a little kid.
Yeah.
They explain things to you like you're stupid. They talk to you in a different manner. They were just like, hey, dickhead, you're going to ruin your life. You need to figure this shit out. You need to follow the program, all this types of stuff. So like Tyler and Clyde and Teresa, the neuro at my place, like, you guys know who you are. Thank you again, because I'm coming up on a year because of you guys. If they wouldn't have taken,
and because of you.
well, if they didn't do what they did, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing.
Still, you have to give yourself credit for as long
I do,
as you
I
put
do,
yourself
I do.
together.
And May 5th will be an episode with my oldest friend. He's been my friend for over 30 years, so if you missed that one, you're probably going to miss some funny shit, because he's just going to tear me apart. But yeah, I mean, the folks down there took the time to determine what was going on inside of me. What was wrong with me as a person, like mentally, and showed me a pathway to recovery. They reset me, for lack of a better term, so that I could start over and I could take the lessons that I was learning. Like they had a program down there. It was called Evolve, and what they did is go did physical stuff. They go rock climbing. They go ropes courses and all these types of things. And they did it like a couple, 3 times a week, and I didn't go, because I was like, I need to go to clinical. I need to focus on what I'm going to use when I get home. So yeah, it was crazy. It was one of those things where, they did so much for me down there, and I wouldn't be half the person I am now. I mean, granted, I'm still an idiot. I say dumb shit. I do dumb things. I'm a moron, but I have the ability to be a moron because they kept me from drinking myself to death. And yes, I do take pride in what I've done so far. And a big part of it is this podcast.
Yeah.
Doing this every Sunday, being able to talk and goof around and, get shit out there.
Sure.
I mean, it was the perfect storm for me. Everything worked out the way it needed to be. I am where I am because I'm supposed to be here.
Right.
And I think we all are.
But you have to give yourself a lot of credit for that too, because you make a very good point, Cal. In saying that to Mark, that you can't discount yourself in that scenario. You did a lot of what you needed to do to get there. And, there will be, people who ask me, well, how did you do this? And, you're only given so many choices, and you only had so many choices. It wasn't like you had, option A, B, C, and D to do. It's like, well, you know what? This is my choice and I have to deal with it. Now, you can't discount your own mental makeup and the own fight that you have. The fight might have not been there to where you recognize that fight that everybody has, each one of us has in our brain to keep us sustained and keep us moving forward. But I had it in some weird way, it manifested itself, and it did for you too. It's that fight, and that's that fight that you don't want to ever give up. We talked off camera how much our lust for life is, but it's that innate fight that you have in your body that just keeps you moving and keeps you going, to that. And I think, you should give yourself a lot of credit for that, because whether you recognize it or not, it's that fight that's in your brain, and it will come out and it will guide you through it. It will get you through that process. And, yes, you were only the instrument of the tools that those people had, because sometimes I think to myself, well, how did I ever get there? I just laid in a bed, they stuck in all kind of stuff in my chest, and I just laid there and, did what it did.
For the first time, I put faith in someone else.
There you go.
My entire life, I've had a problem trusting people.
There you go.
Stemming from my childhood and the shit that I went through, whatever, another show. May 5th. But yeah, I put faith that they knew something I didn't.
Yep.
And that they were, whether they cared or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
They made me feel like they cared.
Yeah.
And, to folks out there, if you're struggling with addiction or you're thinking about going to treatment, once again, steelcityroundtable@gmail.com. Get a hold of me. I can give you some information on the place that I went, just to give you an idea of what it's like and how to prepare for it. But we don't promote one facility over another. Just check them out and go to something if you need it.
Yeah, look at what you think is going to help you best, because each one provides a different program, provides different therapies, provides different options for, step down drugs and all of that type of thing. Because, step down drugs are a real thing, If you're,
What is that?
So if you're on heroin or they or other opioids. They have methadone. They have Suboxone.
So you're saying that the step down in terms of what you're currently on, that there is a process to, there are other drugs to bring you off of that main?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
So
just to look into it, do your due diligence, check out every facility. There's plenty of good facilities around Pittsburgh within an hour here that you can check out. If you need the help, you can always call and reach out to us, and we'll give you whatever information we can find. Once again, we are not professionals. We are not experts. I am a dumbass, but even this dumbass can look shit up on the internet. So, definitely reach out if you need us to look up something for you. But, dude, this is great. Like this is by far the best show we've ever had.
It's a good show.
I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you, man.
I'm
Me
so
too.
glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm very glad. I'm very happy. And when I speak of these things, sometimes it depends on how it hits me in terms of how much you give up and talk about, because it's still a very real thing, and a lot of things affect you mentally, and sometimes I find that it's very therapeutic, to talk through that, because sometimes you can only harbor so much on your own shoulders and take. You can only take so much, and so it's awesome to sit down and just, kind of get things out and talk about it. And, at least for me, when I walk away, I feel better. I feel almost like I feel a little more cleaner because I was able to talk about things, or, whether it be here or whether it be somebody else. I've found over the past couple months, even with folks at work, I feel a little better after I talk about things a little bit, whether it be, very brief or very long, it just helps you.
I mean,
Get
I
through
think it's
that
a big
process.
part of recovery from anything.
Agreed.
Is talking. Getting the things off your chest, being able to talk about what you're thinking, because, like, for me, and I'm sure for you, when we stuffed that stuff deep down, when it came out, it was uncontrollable.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can get rid of a piece at a time, little bit by
yeah.
little bit by little bit, I mean, that's, like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm selfish. I'm extremely selfish.
yeah, you have to be.
This
be an addict.
podcast is
Okay.
because I'm selfish. I want to help people, but this helps me every time.
Right.
When I get to talk about my shit and what I'm dealing with, and even just, joke around, I leave here feeling better every time.
Yeah, me too.
So, it's, granted, we do want to help
This is
people.
this is our confession. This is our church.
Right.
Yeah,
This
I mean,
is our Sunday church.
I mean, that's a good way to put it. I mean, it's a place where we can come, where we know that the people that sit down at this table are here for the same reason. Everybody that comes on here is here because they have some desire to tell some story to try to help some person.
Exactly.
And I think that's the best thing anybody can do with their time.
Yeah.
Is to be unselfish, and, like you said, pay it forward. Do what you can for others, and, you telling your story, Kelly talking about your stuff, even when I say some stuff, I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there that is taking something from this. Whether or not they think we're idiots, I'm okay with that.
I mean, if they laugh at us the whole time, that's still making somebody happy.
That's right. And it's just about having faith in it all. Going through the process, of what I went through. You just got to have faith in something. You have to rest it somewhere, and like you said earlier, you have to believe in the people that are there around you.
I mean, you got to believe in something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, because that's all you really have.
I mean, at the end of the day, alcoholics, addicts, we believe in a higher power.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. For you, it's Christ.
Yeah.
For John, it's Christ. Whatever it is, you got to believe in something bigger than yourself. Otherwise, you will repeat patterns. You will continue to make bad decisions.
Yeah.
Or you will not do what's best for you if you stay inside yourself and you don't pay attention to what's going on.
Exactly.
And, one of the reasons why you're here is probably your faith.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that you believe in something bigger than yourself that was going to make you good, was going to make you okay.
Yeah, well, because when you look at it, what other reason would there be?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's really the only reason I can come up with. Outside of, your support and, my family and my doctors, yes. But at the end of the day, you have to believe in something bigger than yourself, because at the end of the day, if you just let the process go out or go through whatever and not addressing it, it wasn't going to cure itself.
Yeah. I don't
You know
think,
what I mean? It's not that's not going to solve anything. So you have to believe that, when you go through that and you believe that there's something bigger out there that can, that's going to get you through it. And trust me, Lord knows, the amount of prayers I say in a day, and the amount of times I rub my cross, that's what I'm thinking about. I have to give thanks to something.
Yeah.
Because it surely wasn't anything I did, because again, I was just literally laying there and trusting in my doctors and trusting in my family that everything was going to go okay. And to that point, my wife still tells me to this day, she goes, there wasn't never a day in time. There was never a day or time where I didn't think that you would be okay. And I latch on to that. And it's part of my fiber because there was never a day that she didn't disbelieve. And to this day, it's still in my mind every day. And, you just got to go with those kind of things because you're only left with so many options and so many choices. And I can't explain it, but it's that's real and that hits. There was never a day where I didn't believe. And she got all her confidence from my doctors and those guys being so steadfast in what they were doing and when the belief of what they had and the belief of their plan, that's what we're doing. Her big phrase is moving on. Every day that something
I want
happened,
to hang out with her.
you know what I mean? Every day, we got that bag of blood. All right, we're moving on. Every day we got those white blood cells. All right, done, moving on. Everything was a moving forward kind of a thing. And, when I sit down and I think about that's huge. I still think about it every day. We're just moving on, getting through that. Every bag that was taken off of my pole, all right, we're moving on.
I think this is a good place to stop.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Keith, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to be honest with you. I want you to come back.
Yeah, I'll be back.
Whenever you want. I want you to
Yeah.
come back. There's always a seat here for you.
You're very positive.
Yes.
The positive
Yeah.
is catchy. It's
Yeah. I like him being here. It makes me feel
yeah.
good.
I think we'll be here next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Back next week.
Why don't you say something to the folks before we go?
Hey, I just wanted to, say thank you for the time, and please, anybody who has listened to this, be in tune with your body, understand it that things do go wrong, and when they do, address them. Don't be afraid, and don't think that it's going to go away. Just get it checked out, and I think you'll be able to be on a path to where you'll feel better. So, with that being said, I'm sure as I come back and I do this more, I'll be more fluent in how I say those things. But
You did great, brother.
Yeah,
but
you
again,
did great.
Great.
just understand what's going on with you, and don't be afraid to engage your your doctors, and they'll lead you the way, and trust them.
100%. Kels?
Amen. Yeah, listen to your doctors. If you have questions to the doctors, don't be afraid to tell them. And if you feel like you're not being heard, don't be afraid to ask twice, because that's what it took for me to get any type of place with Cheyenne's doctors, is asking twice, asking 3 times. I asked you this before. Can you tell me what you're
You got to be your
thinking?
own advocate. That's right. You
Yes,
got to be
you
your own.
do.
We talked about that earlier. You got to be your own advocate because you are the one looking out for you.
That's
Yes.
All right, folks. Hey, thanks for joining us on the Steel City Roundtable. Keith Fetsko, my man. Kels, if you want to get, what's up?
Don't forget.
Oh yeah, your earrings. What do you got? What do you got?
Today we have clouds, and
So
they
nice.
actually have raindrops.
Nice. I like them. I still like your shamrocks the best.
The shamrocks.
Very
I had the shamrocks for St. Patrick's Day. I had like loaded up on shamrocks.
Right.
Well, once again, thanks for joining us. You can check us out on YouTube and Spotify. We will be back every Sunday. We film every Sunday, and we hope to bring you some good content and some interesting talkers. I want to thank everybody that's been here today. Of course, like I say, Keith, I want you to come back.
Yep.
Just remember, there's always a seat here for you at the Steel City Roundtable. We love all you guys, and we're looking to hear from you. Take care.
care. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.